don't know, classroom, boring stuff. Just the often stated divide of girls versus boys in science.
What's happening with that?
Is that a myth, or is there?
Okay, it's not. Okay, I'll tell you something. One of the disturbing aspects, actually, of these high-stakes testing that came out is called the TIMS, the Third International Math Science Study project that took place, was to show that there was a gap between men and women, girls and boys, and in Israel it was one of the highest. Wow. So that really is a red flag. That really is a red flag, and there have been a lot of projects since then to try to rectify it and try to do something about it. I'll tell you something very interesting. I don't know if you know this, but people in the field know it now. If you take a look at what girls succeed in, where they succeed, and you look at single-sex schools and you look at two-sex schools, you'll find that the single-sex schools, the girls do much better. Yeah. Or single-sex classes. And what seems to come about is that there is a gender difference, especially around middle school, with the hormone time, right? And so there's a lot of activity with the guys and a lot of pushing and growling and throwing out the questions. And in a sense, the girls, in a very generalizable way, are intimidated and don't participate. And even the women teachers will favor the guys. So a couple things we've learned. This is what science educators do. We try to study this kind of stuff. Everything you see here, we've studied. We haven't just done it, but we also have to study to know what we've done right or wrong. So I haven't talked about that aspect of it. A lot of what I do is research on project-based learning. So we've done research. I haven't done, but my colleagues have done research on boys and girls studying sciences. And one of the things we find out is that girls have a much more pronounced need to understand the material. The guys are willing to memorize it. It's a very interesting finding. It's not just in Israel. So that if you teach for understanding and not just for this drill and kill, you will actually get more girls on board than if you don't. At the same time, you'll actually be doing better science teaching. So that's one of the things we found out, and we have a big project to try to get the teachers, what does it mean to teach for understanding as opposed to teach just for memorization or using algorithms. Another thing we found out about girls and how they're different than guys is they like cooperative projects that work together. This idea of, oh, I can do it, I'm better than you, I can run faster, which is a big part of the male culture, right? I'm better, I'm faster at this. Girls are much more cooperative, but they don't like that kind of culture. And that kind of culture, by the way, is reinforced a lot by the testing, by individual work in classes, right? So if you can develop cooperative learning strategies, project-based learning is just one of them, but you can do many others, then you're also going to help to reduce the divide. So these things aren't things that sort of favor the girls, but they help them to actually do better, and they're also good learning. Because we want guys also to know how to work together, and they also want them to learn for understanding. Those are two out of several other findings. But it is a big issue, and something that's being looked at and is being addressed. I think a lot of what goes on in the States, I've been following this for a long time. As you know, I was born in Los Angeles, and I came here with 2 kids, and I have 2 others, so I have 2 kids who were born in the States and 2 kids who were born here. So I'm kind of like have my feet in both cultures. And I can say that I think that the States is farther ahead on identifying the problem, on trying to deal with it. I think we're sort of playing catch up here. A big issue, for example, has to do with sports. Funny thing, you take it for granted. You're all from America? Anybody not from America or in Israel? Okay. If you take a look at Israel, Israel is not nearly as sports-minded as America is. And there are repercussions when it comes to the male-female thing. Here there's a lot of sports interest. On soccer, people will say, oh, who's doing this? And they'll be drinking their beer in front of the television. But I'm talking about real sports, participatory sports. In the States, it's a big deal. I don't have to tell you about it, right? You've got the Pee Wee League and Little League and all these different leagues going up the ladder. Soccer, the same thing. We have nothing like that here. Zero. we have, again, it goes back to this elitist idea that the kids who do the best, they get chosen for the swim team. The kids who do the best, they get chosen. There are exceptions, you know, where you can go and you can play soccer or swim or that kind of stuff. But by and large, it's nothing close to America. Now, why do I say that in the context of our discussion of men and women? Because I think it's very clear that in the past, when I was growing up, and I was playing soccer and running track and cross country and doing all this stuff, there were guys doing that and the girls weren't. And I think it makes a big difference once the girls get